Welcome to Module F, problem number 17. You are strongly encouraged to listen to the Excel, or the Word, version of problem F11. So problem 11 from Module F. Before you do this, because there are a lot of similarities, but this adds more complexity. So when you read the question, you notice that there are two probability distributions, one for demand and one for lead time. In the question, it says that every time you place an order, you're going to order 10. You have holding costs of $1 per week per unit. You have stockout costs of $40 per stockout, which would be lost sales. And you're going to place an order. Your reorder point is 2 refrigerators at the end of the week. So you're going to simulate 10 weeks for this problem. So in this particular case, the first thing you need to do is create a cumulative probability table for both the demand and the lead time. The demand varies between 0 units and 4. So the probability of 20% of no demand, so from 1 to 20, would be any random number between 1 and 20 would be 0 units demanded. A 40% probability, you're going to sell 1 refrigerator. So the cumulative probability goes up to 60%. So from any random number between 21 and 60 will give you a demand of 1. Any random number between 61 and 80 will give you a demand of 2. Any random number between 81 and 95 will give you a demand of 3. And any demand between 96 and 100 will give you a demand of 4. So just like we did in problem 11, which again you are strongly encouraged to listen to, the lead time varies from 1 day to 3 days. 15% chance that it'll arrive in 1 day. So 1 to 15, random number, will give us a lead time of 1. So how long it will take to show up. 35% chance that the product will arrive in 2 days. So any random number between 16 and 50 will have a lead time of 2. And a 50% chance the lead time will be 3 days. So any random number between 51 and 100 will give us a lead time of 3 days. So in the table, you start off in week 1 with 5 units as identified in the problem. The random number for the demand is 52. 52 falls in the category of 21 to 60. So the demand is 1. So of course, 5 units to begin with. You sell 1. You have 4 left over. Do you have any lost sales? No. Do you need to place an order? No. The reason you do not need to place an order is you do not place an order until you get down to 2 units in stock. Week number 2, you have 4 at the beginning of the week, which of course is the ending inventory for week number 1. You get a random number of 37. Random number of 37 is also in the category or the range between 21 and 60. So the demand is 1. So 4 minus 1 is 3 to get your ending inventory. Do you have any lost sales? In fact, no, you have surplus inventory. Do you need to place an order? No, you do not, because you have 3 and you don't place an order until you get to 2. Week number 3 comes along. You have 3 to begin with. Random number is 82, which just barely gets to a demand of 3 because it's in the category 81 to 95. And in this particular case, that means you have a demand of 3. So you have 3, you sell 3, so you have no inventory left. So it's time to place an order. You get a random number of 6 for the lead time, which means that the lead time is 1. So you order 10, and in this particular case, they arrive 1 period later, which is actually period 5, not period 4. So be careful about that. So in week 4, you have no inventory to start the week. you have a random number of 69, which would be in the category of 61 to 80 for the demand. So you have demand for 2 refrigerators and you don't have any in stock. So the customers go somewhere else and buy the refrigerators. So you have no ending inventory, started with none, nothing arrived. And of course you couldn't sell any because you didn't have any, but you did lose 2 sales. Week number 5, good news, 10 refrigerators arrive. And in this particular case, you get a random number of 98 for demand. So that is a demand for 4. So it's a good thing the refrigerators arrived, right? So the 10 units that you have, demand is 4. You have 6 left over at the end of the week. Do you place an order? No, because you only place an order when it's 2. So we don't have to do anything. Week number 6, the ending inventory from week number 5, which is 6 refrigerators, goes to the beginning inventory for week 6. You have a demand of 96, which is just barely, but it is 4. So you have a demand for 4 again. So good, you're making lots of sales. And you have 2 left over. That triggers a reorder. Because remember, the reorder point is 2. So you're down to 2 refrigerators. You get a random number of 63 for the lead time. 63 means it's going to take 3 weeks to arrive, not 1 like you had before. So in week 7, you have 2 refrigerators. Demand of 33 is the random number, which is 1 refrigerator. So you sell 1, you have 1 left. You didn't lose any sales. In fact, you still have 1 unit left over. Week 8, you start off with 1 unit. And you get a random number of 50, which is also 1 demand, 1 refrigerator for demand. So you have no inventory left. And week 9, you start the week with no inventory. There's none left at the end of week 8. Get a random number of 88, which means you have 3 people coming in to want to buy refrigerators, but you do not have any. So you lose those sales. So you have lost sales of 3. Week 10 arrives. You have the refrigerators that you ordered in week 6. So be careful with that. If you order it at the end of week 6, or if you order it at the end of week 6 and it says 3 weeks, it doesn't arrive in week 9. It arrives at the beginning of week 10, if that makes some sense. So it looks like it's an extra period of time. If you look at the lead time of 1 that you ordered in week 3, you didn't get them until the beginning of week 5. And when you order them in period 6, in week 6 in this case, and a lead time of 3, you didn't get them in period number 10. You did get them in period number 10. You did not get them in period 9. So you have to remember that it's sort of like the 3 is like a 4, the 1 is like a 2. There's an extra. So three periods of time without receiving it is another way to look at it, or 1 period of time without receiving it. And then the period after that, you get the 10 units. So you start off with 10 in week 10. You have a demand of random number of 90, which is 3. You have 7 left over. So our 10-week simulation is done. You total up the ending inventories. You get a total of 23. They're $1 each. That's cost you $23. Your lost sales, which total up to be 5, cost you $40 each, which costs you $200. And then you simply divide it by 10 to get the weekly stockout costs and the weekly holding costs. So the weekly stockout costs, on average, you're losing $20 a week in lost sales from your stockouts. And on average, you are losing $2, or you're costing yourself $2.30 for your holding costs. Accounting people will only measure the holding costs. They do not measure the stockout costs. And you can see in this case, that is very significant. That every time a customer walks in the door, you cannot satisfy their demand to buy a product, it costs you $40. And whether accountants want to record this or not, they don't, because it doesn't fit under their principles. But businesses that know what they're doing understand this. So what you could do with this type of simulation is you could run it again, but say change a parameter. Say change the reorder point to 3. And remember, you can do reorder points. We did this in chapter number 12. You could also change the quantity ordered, which is the economic order quantity, from say 10 to 12 or something like that. So you can change the reorder point to, like I said, a 3 and see how that affects things. You could change the reorder point to a 4, see how that affects things. You could also change the quantities, like I said, ordered to be a 12, so you have a little more stock. And remember, stock is only $1 a week, but the stock will cost you $40. So there's quite a discrepancy between the two. You could have an item sitting in stock for 40 weeks and don't sell it. And it's the same as one lost sale, to put it in perspective. So in this case, I would be focused in on trying to reduce the cost of stock out, even though my holding costs would go up, but my accounting people would not be happy with me at all because my holding costs are going up, and that's what they record. They do not record the lost sales and lost revenue. But again, businesses that really know what they're doing do understand the cost of stock out. Not only the cost of stock out for that one lost sale, but all the others, especially if you have a product that has a lot of accessories or a product that requires maintenance, like a car, or a product that requires you to buy more, such as say a computer printer where you would need toner cartridge or ink cartridges or even paper. You would tend to, a lot of times, buy it from the place that you bought the printer from. People tend to be, have a habit of that. But if you go there and they don't have the product, you start to look elsewhere, and you may permanently start buying the product elsewhere. So it's not only that lost sale, but there's also the future lost sales. Same if you went to a pizza place and it says, I'm sorry, we're out of pizzas, or Crave Cupcakes, and they aren't out of cupcakes. You're going to start buying your product elsewhere.